Sports with a bat and a ball are on the verge of consistency. Hello, I'm Dana Pecora.
And I'm Jacob Smolinski. Golfer PJ Asiano didn't get his third straight individual title at the Manor Intercollegiate, but he still put some numbers on the board. You're watching LaSalle TV's home for Explorer Athletics. What happened to my beard? SportsLine. Wow, I don't know what I just did there. Just blacked out for a second.
Welcome to SportsLine. We've got a packed show full of surprises and a little mystery. Well, not really, but we do have some great stories for you.
And later, Anna Gomez sits down with one of the best on the women's basketball team, Adriana Long-Range Miller, and let me tell you, we are hype.
But first, let's take a look at our SportsLine top 3.
SportsLine top 3. All right, number 1. This is a wild one. After a lackluster first few weeks, baseball headed to the Bronx to take on Fordham, and oh boy did they come through big time. Both teams battled to score runs, which resulted in a 6-6 game at the end of 9 innings. In the top of the 10th, Chase Arnold came up to the plate and hit a triple. Kevin McGowan crossed home plate, which gave LaSalle the edge they needed for the 7-6 win. And you know what? They lost the next 2 in the series, but our boy CJ Pruitt earned himself Big 5 Pitcher of the Week honors for Game 2's 9-inning pitches effort. Oh man, he struck out 9 batters.
Well, that's cool for baseball. But for number 2, let's talk about the women on the mound. Because it seems that Mackenzie Obert has been eating her Wheaties this softball season, and the A-10 has taken notice. Obert was named an A-10 Co-Player of the Week after a spectacular performance in the past week. During that time, Obert recorded 3 home runs, one of which was the game winner in the final game against St. Bonaventure. Not to mention that she also batted .500, recorded 6 RBIs, and scored 5 runs. The senior infielder has been incredibly clutch for the Explorers as the team works toward consistency. Obert shares the honor with Rhode Island junior Kylie Shivery.
And then number 3, the cherry trees are blossoming. I have a skip in my step, and I'm no longer suffering from seasonal depression. That's right, it's spring. Heck yeah! And LaSalle Athletics has organized Spring Fest on Sunday, April 9th. There's going to be famous Dave's barbecue pulled pork, athletes wandering around, free sunglasses, and a friggin' inflatable obstacle course. And you know what? We'll also see you at the second Walk with the Women of LaSalle starting at noon on the 9th as well. It's going to be a beautiful day. Thank you to good old Bill, our new full-time athletic director. Anyways, that wraps it up for our top 3 stories of the week. And yeah, you know, we're stretching a little bit for those, but let's get into some recaps.
After a tough stretch, baseball was finally able to pick up a win against Lehigh. LaSalle was able to get on the board in the first inning. Ben Faso hit a sac fly which drove in Austin Constantini in the 4th inning. The bases were loaded and Ryan Guckin came through with a single to score Faso to make it a 2-1 game. The Explorers were able to hold on to that lead to take the win. After that tough series at Fordham, we mentioned in our first headline, LaSalle baseball seemed to figure things out back here at Hank DeVincent. We won back-to-back games against a duo from Delaware, UDel and Delaware State. Hey Major Leaguers, I'm really happy for you, but LaSalle had one of the greatest collegiate home openers of all time. Anna Gomez has the scoop.
At LaSalle's home opener, the Explorers took a 7-3 win over the University of Delaware. Pitcher Matt Holt blocked off the Hens early, striking out 8 batters over 6 scoreless innings. Kevin McGowan kicked off that streak with a sac fly, sending Austin Constantini home. Brian Tago spurred the second inning runs, followed by Ryan Guckin and Giancarlo Rivera. Then this beauty happened. Ben Faso nailed a homer out by left field, solidifying LaSalle's lead and assisting in the Explorers' 4-run win over UDel. And with the taste of dominance over Delaware, LaSalle handily took a win over Delaware State on Wednesday, April 5th. Things were pretty tight with just 1 run in the game by the 5th inning. Then our favorite LaSalle sleeper, Rafael Amanao, went 2 for 4 on a triple and RBI single in the 6th. Thanks to an 8th inning rally off the bat of Rivera and Constantini, the Explorers stomped out the Hornets 4-2. A parade of pitchers kept Delaware at bay, allowing just 2 runs. Starter Jared Matera struck out 3. For SportsLine, I'm Anna Gomez.
Softball saw a week of highs and lows after playing 6 games on the road. The team traveled to New York for a 3-game set against St. Bonaventure in Game 1. Marlo Roadcap struck out a career high of 13 batters to lead LaSalle to a 4-2 dub over the Bonnies. But the Bonnies bounced back in Game 2, scoring 4 runs in 2 innings. LaSalle had a strong offensive effort, recording a season high of 13 hits, but it was not enough as the Explorers fell by a score of 8-6. In the final game of the series, the Explorers had a spectacular performance both offensively and defensively. Freshman Riley Gerhardt was lights out on the mound, allowing only 1 earned run in 7 innings pitched. Mackenzie Obert hit a 2-run homer to help the Explorers keep the lead and win by a score of 6-2. The women returned to action on Wednesday, April 5th at Lafayette. There, the Explorers split a 2-game set against the Leopards. Marlo Roadcap pitched a 3-0 shutout to give the Explorers the win in Game 1. Unfortunately, the momentum was short-lived as the Blue and Gold were later defeated by Lafayette in a 3-2 contest.
And then track and field continued their outdoor season with a weekend meet at George Mason for the Colonial Relays. Justin Guerre was the Explorers' top finisher, taking 6th out of a field of 65 runners in the 100-meter. The junior followed that performance with an 11th place finish in the 200-meter alongside teammate Isaiah Akil, who tied with Guerre. David Ozorowski earned himself a personal best in the 1500-meter, slashing 6 seconds off his previous record. And for the women, Amber Jackson again proved her dominance in the triple jump, taking 2nd out of 35 other athletes. And sophomore Ariel Mitchell also topped the Explorer leaderboard with a 12th place finish in the 100-meter dash in front of 60 other runners. Yeah.
The men's and women's rowing teams traveled down to Maryland on Saturday to battle against Washington College in St. Mary's. The men's varsity 4 team, led by sophomore Scott Dunn, kept their momentum going from their strong performance in the Murphy Cup with a victory over Washington by over an entire minute. The men's varsity 8 did not want to be overlooked as they took a 10-second victory over Washington and St. Mary's. The women also looked pretty impressive in their varsity 4 race, led by sophomore Christy Goose, cruising to an almost 40-second win over the other 2 boats. The women's varsity 8 fought hard but fell short to Washington for a 2nd-place finish at just a tad over 9 minutes.
And the women's water polo team embarked on a 4-game adventure this past week, going to battle against Penn on Thursday, VMI and Wagner on Saturday, and ending the weekend against Siena on Sunday. The women encountered no such luck in the pool on their Saturday and Sunday matches as they lost 21-4 against VMI, 21-2 against Wagner, and 14-5 against Siena. But that's okay because the women of the LaSalle rookie team took down Big 5 rivals Penn University. The Ivy Leaguers just couldn't match up to our Explorers as Stephanie Morales scored an impressive 7 goals against the Quakers. Katie Sios and Caitlin Kubo each scored 6 apiece, and in the back of the pool, Jennifer Maint recorded 9 saves in the net and even a goal as well. Impressive. The Blue and Gold took down those Smarty Pantses 18-7.
Both the men's and women's golf teams were in action over the weekend. The men competed at the Manor Intercollegiate in Farmville, Virginia, and the women opened their spring season at Bella Vista Country Club in a head-to-head matchup versus Monmouth. The men's team stood in 14th place after 2 rounds of play. They shot a .317 in the first round, but improved by 13 strokes in the second to push them out of last place. On the final day of the Manor Intercollegiate, sophomore Nick Guyman shot a 4 under par 68 to help LaSalle post a combined team score of .286, which tied for the 5th best round in the program history. As for the women, freshman Rebecca Smith led the team with an 88. Smith's 38 on the front line 9 led all competitors. Finishing with the 2nd highest score among Explorers was junior Marion Colon. Colon scored a 90 in her first event wearing a LaSalle uniform. Her 46 on the back 9 was a team low, despite the efforts of the Explorers. Monmouth was still able to shoot a .330, which bested LaSalle's .331 in the event.
And A-10 play did not start the way that women's lacrosse expected. Beginning with a match against George Mason on Friday, March 31st, the Explorers were demolished in the first half by a score of 9-1. LaSalle's midfield fell apart and couldn't keep the ball. And the combined effort of goalies Lynn Frankel and Lucy Lawlin were hung out to dry as George Mason's offense dished out shots like a vending machine with a faulty quarter slot. With an 8-goal deficit, the Explorers ran into the second half with a vengeance, led by Ilgen Fritz, who picked up 4 goals. And backup was provided by Brittany Edwards, Tony Mazzetti, Anna Gordon, and freshman Abby Squires, who all recorded 1 goal apiece. And when it came down to the final buzzer, the scoreboard read 8-15 loss.
Looking to rally back from the loss, LaSalle welcomed Richmond to the McCarthy on Sunday, April 2nd once again. LaSalle had a problematic first half. Freshman Abby Squires drew first blood in the game, but after a back-and-forth battle, the Spiders went on a 3-goal run to close out the half. The problematic first half then bled into a problematic second half that left LaSalle wondering what happened. Richmond put up 11 goals to bring the score to 18-8 for the final. Ilgen Fritz seemed to be the only consistent scorer at the moment, putting up 3 goals. We are in dire straits as LaSalle dropped the first 2 A-10 matchups.
And that concludes this week's recaps, but when we come back, Ana Gomez sits down with Adriana Miller and Christina DeLulo will be joining us on desk for this week's Explorer Report. Stick around.
What was that?
LTV News, where the action never stops.
I love watching LTV News. I love watching LTV News every Sunday at 10:30. I love LTV News producer Dave Roberts.
Before I go to class on Monday mornings, I watch LTV News at 8 a.m.
I love watching Kirsten and Callie on LTV News.
Tuesdays at 10, we watch LTV News.
My name is Caitlin. I'm 6 years old. I like to go to the beach with my cousins. When I was a baby, I was very sick. And then I got a liver transplant from an organ donor. He saved my life.
This gift of life was made possible by an organ donor. Imagine what you could make possible. Sign up as an organ, eye, and tissue donor. Go to organdonor.gov.
May know, we here at SportsLine are die-hard fans of our women's basketball team, and Ana Gomez sat down with Adriana Miller to talk about their season, so check it out.
Hello, I'm Ana Gomez, here on the sidelines with sophomore guard Adriana Miller. Welcome, Adriana. Thanks for coming.
Hi, Anna. Thanks for having me.
So let's talk into it. You had a really, really strong season coming out from last year. You were 5-25 last year. This year you're 17-13. You had this winning season.
Yes.
What was that like?
Honestly, I feel like the losing season really helped us. You know, we had the talent, we had the chemistry. I just felt like we had to put it together and have a little bit more heart, put a little more time in, you know, make more shots. You know, defensively we improved, especially, you know, not allowing a lot of teams to score or outscore us as much. And, you know, our foul shots percentage also improved, so that helps. And, you know, we just got tired of losing, you know. We just, you know, we had everything all together. We had everything planned out. You know, coaches had a lot of expectations for us. So, like, we put it all through. We came together, had team talks, you know. And that's what sports was about, you know, just, you know, coming together and, like, you know, not being so down and just seeing the positive side of it. So that really helped.
That's very true. You could see some games last year, just see like that discouragement.
Yeah, it was a lot of distraught, you know, a lot of giving up, but, you know, we learned a lot from that season, and I just, you know, it's also a blessing, so.
Yeah, because I mean, this season,
right.
there were some just beautiful, beautiful plays. When you were on top of things, when this team was working together, it was just a beautiful game to watch.
Right, and it was fun. You know, we're a family, so it's like beautiful seeing everything come from such a bad area to, you know, a lot stronger. So just imagine what's going to happen next season. So, you know, we have plans on going postseason, so that's the goal. So.
And you did go postseason this year. You made it to the quarterfinals.
Exactly. So.
And you hosted the A-10 opener.
Right, exactly. So we did a lot of big things. So we didn't come this far to only go that far. So there's a lot more improvement. So.
I'm excited for this team. Let's talk about Harvard.
Okay.
This was a game that, I mean, this is an Ivy League team. They're always in the NCAA conference tournament, and you held your own. This team, and you specifically, held your own really, really well. You had 27 points
Right.
on the game. It's some major plays, fast breaks. I mean, tell me about it.
Honestly, I just remember myself like, who's Harvard? Like, they came in, I think they were undefeated or won only one game. So I had that in behind my head, like, we're LaSalle, like, come on, like, we, a lot of people don't talk as much about us, compared to Harvard. So I don't know, once I shot my first three, it felt really good. And like, and I got a couple stops, defensively, and I was just into the game. And like, my teammates actually looked for me, had trust in me, and that felt good. And I was just on a roll, and unfortunately we lost, but it was a very close, it was one of those games, but it was also a learning experience. But it was fun. It was just, like, that just showed us we can be an NCAA team as well. So that's what we needed, so it was really good. And for the fact that I did so well means like, I can do that every game, help my teammates out, just get my teammates involved. So that was great.
And you talked about it earlier, how this team was such a strong team. You had Austin, you had Griffin, who was just making
amazing, yeah.
But you yourself were making these great plays. I mean, you're averaging 10 points per game. That's not nothing.
Right. So yeah, we all have different talents, and if we put it together, I feel like we're unstoppable. Honestly, I have so much trust in my teammates. Like Griffin, she's just amazing. Like, she's just a bucket getter. Austin, her defense is unstoppable. Like, just the energy, and Micaiah Owens and Shill, like, just all of our teammates together is it's just like a big force, especially with our posts, when they make the layups and get great rebounds. It's just a domino effect. And, I just love the team, and it's just awesome.
Oh my gosh, that's so great to hear. Well, I do want to ask about your starting experience.
Right.
You came in last year, 11 games. This year, 26 games starting. That's massive.
Yeah. Honestly, last year I had a lot to learn, and I put that in perspective. And over the summer of my sophomore year, I really worked on a lot of my stuff, especially my shooting, and most importantly, my defense, because I really struggled on that my freshman year, especially the different pace and tempos. And, I literally took that into myself, and like, I reflected on myself, and I'm like, I need to do better for my team. And, I just worked hard, and the hard work actually paid off, and it showed. And I actually earned a starting spot, and it stayed, and my coach actually had trust in me. So that's another great thing to have that with your coach, that relationship, so to move on forward, I have expectations that I have to like hold, and to be a leader for my junior year. Other freshmen are probably going to want to take other spots too, and the competitiveness it's beautiful. So it just keeps us all together. So that's a great thing. So
wow, that's great to hear. Real quick, we have just a few seconds left. I do want to ask you, what's your walkout song?
Okay, when I think of a walkout song, I probably think All I Do Is Win, Win, Win. Honestly, it's such a good song. So just staying positive. So
that is a great song. I like it.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for coming on. This was On the Sidelines with Adriana Miller. Back to the desk.
Honestly, that was an awesome interview with Adriana Miller. Really crazy to get the chance to just sit down with somebody where we got to see somebody who came in as a freshman and got to see the worst of the team, and then went undefeated in December when she came in for this season.
Yeah,
crazy.
This team has been pretty impressive. They actually had the second largest turnaround in D1 women's history, so women's basketball history. So that's pretty crazy.
Yeah, and you don't necessarily expect that, and also just like to see that that such a drastic change can happen, especially under the head coach, who also got like A10 Coach of the Year. It just feels like that women's basketball is finally in the sweet spot that they've been hoping for a very long time, and it really has me excited for the future, even though we're losing, just Jasmine Alston.
Yeah, definitely makes you hopeful for the future.
Yes. And so anyway, that brings us to another break, but when we come back, we have Christina DeLillo on desk to talk some lacrosse. Stay tuned.
3, 2, 1, action. You may think a guy would be producing this, but I can too. Anyone can find a cure.
Women are being downgraded for their physical ability, but you can be just as strong.
%20 of women are engineers, but it doesn't stop there.
I'm a tech girl. I'm a tech girl.
I am a tech girl.
I am a tech girl.
I see my friends out there getting waves. It's like, it's hard. It was a surprise to me when they told me I had MS. It's like, you sure?
Well, this is a virtual reality rig, and this is going to allow Steve to see and experience the waves that I ride.
Put that on your head. Whoa.
There's plenty of LaSalle sports action this upcoming week, so let us welcome Christina DeLulo for this week's Explorer Report.
Much appreciated, Dana. Sit back and relax because this week's Explorer Report is dedicated to our lacrosse team. We've reached that time of year where the A10 play has just begun. The Explorers have just started conference play and things are heating up. This weekend, the lacrosse team hosts 2 A10 contenders, VCU and George Washington at the McCarthy Stadium. The Explorers are in a little bit of a slump right now, with having lost 3 previous games, including their most recent loss to the University of Richmond. This is a crucial time for LaSalle players, and despite their loss, the players are still goals because Allie Ilgenfritz scored 3 times along with Brittany Edwards, who scored twice. Anna Corden won 3 draws and took LaSalle forward. Lynn Frankel had a total of 6 saves. These players are going to be crucial if LaSalle is going to have a chance against either team. Meanwhile, George Mason is ranked in the top 3 in the A10, so LaSalle and George Washington are evenly matched. Washington is slightly ahead with their win against St. Bonaventure. However, there is still some ample time for the Explorers to pull through and claim a victory to climb the A10 ladder.
Yeah, thank you, Christina.
Thanks for having me.
No problem. Yeah, it's been a bit of a rough season so far. Things just kind of falling off the mark. And who do you think the key player is, though, on the offense? Like, you're talking about maybe some Allie Ilgenfritz?
Yes, she's pretty much one of the strongest players I'd see, considering how many goals she scored last game.
Oh, yeah.
She, despite their loss, she pulled through and actually made them sort of not win, but she powered through, so.
Yeah, I feel like Ilgenfritz especially, like she is a seasoned veteran, and no matter what, she has been, making sure, even in those losses, she's putting up 3-4 goals a game. But my question is, and this is for everybody, like, where's Tony Mazzetti at? She's kind of had a bit of, like, as soon as A10 play started.
Yeah, you heard a lot of Tony Mazzetti within the first couple games. And then right when A10 started, it's kind of, she kind of disappeared, which is not good to see. You can't have just one offensive threat.
Not in the limelight as much.
Yeah, and the thing is that kind of scares me a little bit is that could potentially mean that maybe her injury that she's coming off of from last season could potentially be heating up. Once again, that is just speculation, but any last words of advice for the women's lacrosse team?
Well, I'd say to just keep at it, keep being motivated, and power through it.
All right.
Still keep the faith. So.
Beautiful. Keep the faith. Beautiful words. Thanks, Christina. And so then that brings us now to picks of the week. Please pull my intro, please. Thank you. You stand here. Just stand here. All right. Pick number 1. We're talking women's softball versus George Washington on Saturday, April 8th. You know what? Hopefully it'll be a beautiful Saturday afternoon game. You can sit out there and maybe have a picnic with your grandparents, hang out, maybe eat a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. But you know what? They're playing against George Washington, and they're a team that has definitely struggled in conference play. They've played a lot more games than us. They have only had a 1-5 in conference. But the thing is, LaSalle is split it even with 3-3, and that's just showing a bit more consistency. And you know what? Marlo friggin' Roadcap, she's on a roll. She's pitched a shutout, which is a huge deal since she's only a sophomore. She is seriously racking up some serious accolades. And on top of that, really, like, I'm kind of excited because the women's softball team especially seems like they're kind of coming into their own, and they're like being one of the most consistent teams. And especially when the beginning of the season starts, it is difficult to try to get back into just traveling and playing on some of these really crummy fields. You know,
it's great to see. It's great to see them starting to become a little bit more consistent than they were in the beginning of the season. So
yeah,
it's hopeful.
Yeah. Again, brings me to pick number 2. We're talking men's rowing at the Iona Cup. Varsity 4-boat, where are you at? You know what? They're coming off a 4th place finish in the 30-team field of Murphy Cup and a dominating 1-minute victory over Washington. You know what? They got the home river advantage. They know what the Schuylkill smells like. They know what it tastes like. They've been around it. They've swam in it for fun, obviously. So it's going to be a cakewalk after dodging icebergs in the Schuylkill. This week is warm. If anything, the men, Grant Maddock, Kieran Hughes, and Scott Dunn and Jake Fable, I think they will adjust to this climate change accordingly.
I would say so. Much better than the freezing, hails,
yes.
whatever.
Seriously. And that brings me then pick number 3, men's golf at the Finnegan Invitational. PJ Assier, don't let me down. Please don't. I'm really excited if you consistently carried through and made something really big out of your senior season. You got two individual titles under your belt. You know what? When you're heading down to Lehigh Valley, you're taking on 14 teams. They're not exactly cream of the crop. You already beat some Ivy Leagues. You're technically an Ivy League golfer at this point because you beat Ivy League golfers. But hopefully, it's not just Asiero out there. We got Evan Gaser, and we can help try to pull things together. And you know what? We're taking on a lot of Philly schools in this one. Drexel, Nova. But you know what? Hopefully, we can keep getting some lower scores and honestly be able to see some of these underclassmen get the chance to step up, you know?
Yeah, definitely. Well, that just about wraps it up for us this week. If you can't make it out to see the Explorer Report, be sure to tune in next week for our coverage. Keep up with this weekend's other sporting events by visiting goexplorers.com or check out this week's edition of the Collegian.
Also, check us out on Facebook at facebook.com/LaSalleTV. We welcome you to send us your thoughts and suggestions there.
For Anna, Steven, and our SportsLine team, I'm Dana Pecora.
And I'm Jake Smolinski. Thanks for joining, and we will see you at the game.